Hey everyone, welcome back. This is just a continuation of the UCSd training. I kind of had a pause in between. I think I had kind of delivered three of them before. One is, the introduction. Second one is the VM provisioning, and third one kind of from scratch, the UCSd deployment. This is kind of continuation of the deploying UCS directory. I think this was getting too long, so I cut it short. This would be I'll get it from the place I stopped there. So I would recommend you go back and check that video before watching this one. So first of all, for any deployment, you probably should have a prerequisite document, especially for UCS director, because it has a lot of dependency on other things like if you're trying to automate UCS or UCS or ACI, you'd need those things to be in place before even you can go on UCS director. So you should probably have a prerequisite document. What are the things you're trying to automate? What customer needs? What is your company needs? And then, like any other projects, probably some IP addresses, those stuff. Now, determine the deployment model. When I say that, when you talk to the customer, you have to find out that how big is the environment. There is a clear-cut guideline on the Cisco website. I'll cover that in my architecture and design session. I think that would be the maybe next to next session. So I would highly recommend to watch that. One of the big thing in design is there any bare metal provisioning? Does customer wants to have any kind of bare metal servers, Windows, ESX, Linux, whatever. If they want, then there is a second component comes in, and that's called a bare metal agent. I'll cover that in a different session. Scalability, it's regarding deployment model, like how big is the environment? I think there is a kind of guideline that if you have 5,000 below, then you go single mode. Single mode means you have single node means 1 VM. And if it is more than that, there is also a guideline that how much VM, how much things it can manage with multi nodes. I have again different sessions during the architecture, so I'll cover those in details. Multi-site, multi-pod, like say if you have different sites, of course, most customers have different sites. So UCSD, you don't have to deploy in each site. You can have one UCSD in maybe San Jose, and you can manage the entire world. If your virtual center is in Chennai, or maybe you're somewhere in Brazil, then you can manage that vCenter from San Jose because it doesn't kind of send too much data. It kind of sends instruction to the API to the or whatever the instruction is sent to the controller, vCenter, ACI, your UCS, and then it deploys there. Complete metrics, there is a document for each release. I think it's 6.0 release that comes out from Cisco. So I would highly recommend to go through each and every kind of line of that because the version, say, for example, native version 9.0, whatever, do the customer has that? Is it supported? If it is not supported, it might be surprised during the deployment. So I would recommend to check the complete metrics for the version you're planning to deploy. Download the latest version. I think I showed in the last sessions which kind of OVA or which ISO you need to download from the Cisco website depending on the hypervisor. And the hypervisors supported are three of them: VMware, Hyper-V, KVM. Basic stuff: IP, DNS, NTP. Then how do you access UCSD? There is one is SSH, shell admin change me is the default username password, and then it can be helpful troubleshooting. Check services, basic troubleshooting, ping, patching. That's another thing that needs an FTP server. So that FTP server needs to be within the network. So you can upload the patch to the FTP server and then patch from there. There's an option. I think I showed in the last session. And there's a web portal, which is admin is the default for initial configuration and administration. Okay, once you've done that, then you upload the license. It comes with 60 days evaluation license anyway. And again, I covered these things in the last session. SMTP relay mail setup, because whatever the communication happens with the UCS director and its admin or users, it sends an email. There is no return email, so you don't need a mailbox. It's just SMTP relay server should allow that UCSD IP to send email. That's what it needs to be done. So SMTP relay server needs to be configured accordingly. System setup, again, I probably went through that in the last session. Create site, create pod. This is where I stopped. So you create a site, maybe I just give you an example of San Jose, and you may have multiple pod on the same site. So you create one pod, and you should be able to deploy from that any workflow from that pod. So you kind of, if there's a UCS, there's upstream MDS, and there is upstream your SAN storage array. So that should be in the same pod. So you can deploy the entire stuff from there. There can be, production, dev, maybe test pod in the same site. Add accounts. After that, you start adding accounts. It's like a discovery infrastructure. So you have made the pod, that's fine, but still UCSD doesn't know that what all you're going to manage. So you start adding accounts like your UCS accounts, VMware accounts, your maybe your NetApp accounts, MDS accounts, all those things. You need an admin account because it's going to do a lot of things, right? And once you add them, it starts discovering the infrastructure. It starts pulling the information from those devices into MySQL database of the UCS director. And that's called inventory database. And there's a monitoring database, MySQL. So it's built in. There's no option for external database at this stage. And only supported is MySQL. So you don't see that. It's there. You don't have to do anything about that. And just one thing to keep in mind, whatever UCS does, it does it from that database, not from your end devices. So if you made some changes on the end devices, UCS does run a system task every, maybe hour or something like that, or you can kind of change that. It will not know that you have changed 2 minutes back because it didn't run the system task. You can run that, or you can make a custom task to run that system task to get updated information. As you go, it'll be more clear on that. So in this one, you can have virtual accounts like compute spaces, VMware, Hyper-V, KVM. Physical accounts, your compute maybe UCS and any other server platform. Now, when I say any other server platform, if it is API based, it's probably easier to manage. You can add Dell and other servers, HP servers, but the functionality is very limited. Whereas UCS, you can Cisco product and UCSD also Cisco, so it can do many, many things, and we'll go over those. Storage, EMC, NetApp, IBM, Nimble, and also I would kind of strongly recommend to see the competitor matrix. Every version they come up with new. It doesn't mean that you can do only this. This is the out of the box. It is there, so you can use it. There is something called open automation. So if you think that you need something else, not this one, and they have an API, like something new technologies, like as I mentioned about iWorkflow often, you can code this, like make an open automation. It needs JavaScript and Cloud API script. You probably need a kind of, someone to Cisco Advanced Services or partner to engage to help you on that. So it's not limited to only these things, but this is like out of the box. Cisco has provided everything for you. Manage network devices. I'll go over those on the GUI. Just give you a pre-hand idea. Nexus switches, Cisco IOS, Cisco ASA, F5 Load ICE, and Brocade. Multi-domain managers, like that manages more than one thing. Like UCS manager manages one thing, right? One UCS domain. UCS Central manages multiple UCS. So UCS Central will be in the multi-domain manager, ACI, EMC Vplex, DCNM, PNSC, and EMC Recovery Point. And there's a bare metal agents only for deploying bare metal server. If your customer or your company doesn't need any bare metal server, kind of deploy the operating system into the physical servers, then you don't need it. At that stage, it starts getting the inventory information and will pull all the managed devices to the UCS database. So I'll go into the demo now. Okay, so I think you have seen this portal last time we were kind of delivering the other sessions. So these are the Converge tab, and there are different pods, and this is under Sydney side. There are other sites you can make. And also covered how to make the sites and pods. So for Sydney, I can make the sites and pods. You make everything you do for admin is from the administration tab. In the next version of 6.5, I think there'll be some change here. Again, that's from Cisco. Depends on them. So I kind of heard that there will be a bit change on that. Make it more friendly. So this is the kind of place where you do all the initial stuff. There's a guided setup. Also, I showed in the last session that you can that'll run through all these steps. But to understand as a kind of engineer, so you probably should know that which part does what, and we covered up to creating sites. So the sites you create here, we've got a Sydney site. Maybe I've just created a test site, and there is nothing there. Then you start adding those physical accounts, multi-domain managers, managed network elements, as I mentioned, virtual console manager, bare metal agents, and other things. These are, as a matter of fact, UCS directory has a lot of features, and most of the time means depends on the customer. I've not seen too many people use rack space or other things, but you can add them, rack groups, rack servers, and those kind of thing. So let's go into try to add something. So we have made this test site. Now you add like okay, this is lab environment. I won't be able to add anything here, but let's just show you that. So when you try to kind of add any account, it'll ask you that which pod you go. For me, let me select test pod, and then which category is that? Compute, storage. So say for example compute, and it's UCSM. If you see select storage, then it'll give you other options. Okay. Now one thing, it is showing my only NetApp. The reason is just give me a quick stop because someone is calling me. All right, I'm back. So it's showing only your NetApp because the type of pod I selected FlexPod. Let's remove FlexPod and put it generic. And the site is test. Now if I go back to physical account, add test pod, computing, you see a lot of other stuff like HP, HPCS, so you can add any of them, anything which is kind of supported at this stage. Or if you go to storage, then you should be able to see more, everything pretty much, EMC, VNX, IBM, Invicta, Nimble, all those stuff. So that's important, what kind of pod you make, and then what you see here. And then if you see, say, computing, you see these are again standard stuff for any software. So you just give him account name. Its name has got nothing to do with the account of that system. So just for your reference, that how you're going to UCS San Jose, or maybe your San Jose 1, or maybe for prod, something like that. Then the server address is the management address. In case of UCS, there's the VIP address of the UCS manager. You can use credential policy. It's something like if you don't want to type the username and password over and over, you can just add it here. How do you kind of, HTTPS or HTTP, and how do you manage that? You could select servers on UCS. Maybe you don't have enough licenses to manage all your servers. You could then select servers. Locally authenticated, remotely authenticated. So once you fill it up, and then you can select that credential policy here, and description and all these things. These are mandatory, of course. And once you do that, that is added to your system, to your pod. Now, same thing for all of them. Storage, multi-domain, everything has, like say, if I go over to multi-domain, if I go to ACI, it's Epic, submit, and then similar stuff like which pod you want to add, and then give all the admin credential. It can differ from device to device. Like for example, if I go to these are again API based. So I'm trying to go to vplex. So these are information related to vplex. So you probably need to contact the storage admin so to get those information. That's for mainly API based. You can also just do SSH based for NXOS and others. So SSH, it's just communicating SSH sessions and kind of add those Nexus or ASA devices here. Bare metal agents I'll cover later. Okay, rest is probably not that kind of essential. Let's see. Farm upgrade issues. Okay. All right. So once you add them, they will start pulling the informations. And as I probably shown in the last one, they run a kind of system task every hourly, or when you add them. That's in system task. So all of those your devices we added has a task, and they have an inventory task, inventory collector. So there are two of them, so it'll run every 15 minutes and get this information here. So if you have done any change within the last 15 minutes, then you don't find it here. So you have to run the task, and then you can see it in the MySQL database, or in the UCSd. We will know that okay, yeah, that changes has been made. So okay, and once it is doing it, then you can go back and see the pod. So I have not added anything on the this test pod. So just look at this one because we'll be working on this. So VMware. All right. So like VMware, like it has most of the stuff you need to know about VMware, like how many clusters. There's one cluster here. Then if you click that, that'll go more details about the how many hosts and VMs and all those stuff. Again, you may not be a VMware admin, you may not be a Nexus admin or a network admin. So this will be applicable to the admin of that technology. Like if it is a VMware guy would exactly know what he's looking for and what he needs. If it is a storage guy, he would know exactly what he's looking for. Same for UCS. There is a performance kind of stats you'll see initially. That's kind of gone from the monitoring database. It kind of check the performance, how it's going, how it's performing, and how many service profile, which is applicable to the UCS admin. And he can add anything to his dashboard. Add to the dashboard. You can make multiple dashboard. And next time you come in, you should be able to see it here. Yeah, so this is what is the dashboard. You can make your personalized one. So I won't go into details of this. You can probably play around and see yourself. So you select something, and then all the options are here. And clusters. And it changes. The options will change based on whatever you are looking at. So you can see there are heaps of options for the VM. You can pretty much do a lot of stuff here. So this is a central place, and it will consume license, by the way. Like if you even not using those VMs through UCS director, if it can see it, if it imports it, you're consuming a license for that. So that's just one thing to keep in mind on that. So NetApp storage, same stuff. You can see your LUNs, your volumes, some iGroups, everything here. Some of the tasks you can do it from here, like deleting a LUN or those kind of things you can do. I'm not a storage guy by any means, so I probably know a bit about this. So you can, if you're a storage guy, you can probably make use of this, your information more, and Epic also. And UCSD has got a huge integration with SEI, UCS, Cisco products. So tenant health, physical domain, all information you can do. Villain pool, you can add villain pool here. So this is not meant to be a management tool, mainly for monitoring. You would probably use workflow if you want to do something. Okay, that's all for this. I'll probably stop the session here and then go for the next one. Thank you for watching, and leave any comments if you have. And if you want to add something, let me know. If I can, I'll add it. Thank you. Bye.